Good morning. Happy Tuesday. While I was walking the dogs this morning, I was listening to the Viva Robert Barnes live stream from Sunday, I believe it was. I'm behind on everything. I'm sorry. I'm a busy boy. And they arrived at the topic of Jack Murphy, who, for those of you who don't know, he's a alpha male teacher guru, kind of like Vosh, not Vosh, Rushvi, that kind of guy. Well, pre Rushvi finding Jesus, I guess, kind of Rushvi. Be the alpha male, be the man. I'm going to teach you how to be a man, kind of guy. Anyway, he has the dark middle of a big bushy beard, and then the sides are bright white. So it's a pretty striking beard. Anyway, so he appeared on Tim Pool last year, just kind of out of nowhere. I don't think anybody really knew where he came from. Apparently, according to Robert Barnes represented Jack, who has a different real name, John Goldman, I think, something like that. Jack was working for a school system and was fired because he voted for Trump or supported Trump or something along those lines. And apparently Robert Barnes represented him. So that should kind of clue you in that Robert Barnes is going to be a little bit biased towards his client. And just so you guys know where I'm coming from, I'm the guy who went to gay pride parades with why did I just blank on his name? Nasty Nate. I don't care anybody's sexuality, and I understand the conservative position of not liking sexual degeneracy, and I understand where conservatives come from on it, but I've tried to be concerned about it, and I just can't bring myself to be concerned about it. Like, I don't care what you put in where. I just don't. As long as it's not affecting me or my kids. And I guess the argument is made that it does affect, because now we have Drag Queen Story Hour, and we have, what's that little kid's name? That little boy who they dress up like a woman and parade around on drag shows. I think actually they have a couple of little kids like that. There's like two of them that are famous, and they've been on RuPaul or something like that. I don't know. I don't follow that crap, but I do know it's good, and I also know that they're really pushing for kids, young adults in school, to discover their sexuality and their gender identity and to be different and weird. So I understand the conservative viewpoint on it, but I just can't bring myself to care. So it turns out that this Jack Murphy guy is a cuckold, and he pressured his then fiance, now wife, maybe they're still doing it, I don't know, but back when he was making videos on this, he pressured her into having sex with guys on Tinder, and then he would bring her home and he would piss on her. Like, whatever, dude. Like, whatever. That's between you two. And he's bisexual, and he did porn videos by himself and with his wife, or then fiance. And there may or may not be actual homosexual, like with another man, kind of videos out there. But I don't know, and I really don't care. The reason why I'm bringing this up is because Robert Barnes launched into a pretty vigorous defense of Jack Murphy, and the crux of what he was saying is you shouldn't judge the man by a mistake that he made when you don't know all the good stuff that he's done for the past 5 years. And you hear that a lot from defense attorneys, especially in criminal prosecutions. Like, my client only killed one person, but he was a good person. The other 99.99% of his life, he was a good person. He loved his mom. He went to school. And it's just that shallow kind of defense. And it just amazes me that he would use it, although I suppose that it must work on people if defense attorneys use it. I listen to it and I'm like, Okay. But here's the distinction that I would like to make for those of you who believe there is some merit to that, because I could understand there being some merit to, let's say, someone who was in a high stress situation. They had a lot of stress going on in their life. Something, that maybe they were psychologically somewhat vulnerable, and something happened and they snapped and they did something in the heat of the moment. Like, for example, I'm not advocating spousal abuse at all, but like, let's just say that there's some real marital trauma going on. There's issues, you get laid off, your wife is just really upset with what's going on, and there's just problems, there's money problems, and every time you go home you're arguing, you spend all your day going out looking for work, you come home and your wife's just we don't have any money for this and the kids need this, and just not giving you any support or anything like that, and you snap and you hit her. I'm not saying that's right. I'm not saying that you should be excused for doing that, but I could understand a defense by a defense attorney saying that, look, this guy's a good guy. He's trying to provide for his family. He's doing this, he's doing that. And he had a bad day. Don't, judge him by the rest of his life because this one bad day is a one bad day. I can understand that. But what Jack Murphy was doing is a course of events. It is a thought out, long-term, multiple videos spanning at least months, if not years, and who knows if he's still doing it. And I could understand conservatives who are his target demographic for his podcasts and things like that, wanting to know what kind of sexual deviancy their thought leaders are into, so that they can then reject those thought leaders as being not right. It's similar to, not the same as, but similar to a pastor of a megachurch who, for example, rails against homosexuality and then goes out and does 8 balls of coke off or whatever with some male prostitute and, has homosexual sex. I can understand why those churchgoers would want to have a more ideologically pure, a less degenerate pastor. And the whole Republican Democrat thing, I mean, they are essentially religions. People believe in their side, and it's literally belief in their side, and outcomes be damned. It's ridiculous the way people I celebrate when my team has a win, like when my team gets somebody else banned from Twitter or whatever, and I rail against Twitter when Twitter bans one of my team, for exactly the same things or whatever. It's it's Republican / Democrat. I don't know if libertarians. I try to avoid libertarians like the plague, but it's essentially a belief system, and just like the church, it is now allowing what they would call sexual degeneracy into it, and their political church is embracing it, just like a lot of the spiritual churches. Anyway, so I just wanted to talk about that because it just irritates me when people make shallow defenses like that, like it's supposed to make a difference. This guy's been doing this all, but judging by what he's been doing for the last 5 years, well, I think he was still doing some of that. I don't think that those necessarily cut off 5 years ago. All of a sudden he had a revelation. And if he did, you know what? Honestly, if he did have a revelation, like, who's that one? Like Milo Yiannopoulos, like he did this thing where he prayed the gay away or something like that. I don't believe it, but there's a lot of people out there who welcome that. They're like, yeah, yay, it's the power of God that's healing you or whatever. But people like redemption stories. People like the black sheep, the prodigal son stories. They love those. They eat them up. And if he had come out and said, I was engaged in all this sexual degeneracy, and then I had a revelation from God or whatever, I think he's Jewish, so God, I guess. I don't know how they do it in Judaism. Anyway, but if you had like some sort of a revelation, and you know, he was imparted somehow with knowledge of how to be an alpha male, and how to live a good life and a prosperous life, and to build his wealth, and to yada yada, whatever all his little talking points are in his liminal order or whatever it is, then I'm sure he would have had a much better response from people, and then he wouldn't have to deal with people uncovering his demons, because they would have already been exposed. So anyway, that's it. That's all for today. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.